Welcome back to Norton Man Reviews, everyone. I am John Norton, and we are looking at the final issue of the original run of my comic book, my independent comic, Bliss, the epic finale. It's just the epic finale of the initial origin story. I started it off just saying, like, hey, I'm going to start doing a comic. I'll do one issue. I'll try and do it on Kickstarter, and if it fails, like, who cares? And I did a Kickstarter for the first issue, which was a small run, and it was successful. Then I did the second issue. Then I'm like, hey, I don't need to do a Kickstarter for every single issue, because I wasn't selling a bunch of copies. I wasn't, like, putting myself out there where I'm trying to, like, mass produce them. And maybe I should, maybe I still can, and I don't know how to do that. And a lot of people want color, but this is in black and white. There's probably ways to do it, right? And maybe some of these days I'll be able to figure that out. But then I just kind of figure, like, I still want to make my comics. I still want to produce them. I still want to sell them to people I know, sell them online, sell them to people at conventions. So I started just, like, printing these by myself out of my own pocket, which isn't too terribly expensive for just, like, a 25-ish, like, print job. You can spend, like, 80-something bucks for, like, 25 issues, and then you sell them for $5. Which is, I don't know, math. Do the math. Anyways, so some people have enjoyed these. Some people seem to like them on this, doing videos on them. There have been people at conventions who are like, hey, where's the next issue? I want to read what's happening next. So I've continued the storyline after this. I've done issues 6, 7, and 8. Issue 6, I'll look at. Like my brother Rob did the art on that. I had some people contribute to issue number 7, so it's kind of a bigger issue. And then issue number 8, I wrote with my wife. So number 9 is the next issue that I'm going to be working on soon. But I've also been working on a spin-off of this with the guy Kyle Sills, who's been in these books. Kind of a horror story. I'll be looking at those issues, and that storyline is coming to an end. And at the end, I'm going to ask, like, what some people think I should do going forward, ideas and stuff. But anyways, here's the cover. I referenced this figure. This was Gina Carano, the MMA fighter turned actress. This was a picture of her. She was posing in, like, the ring, like not an octagon ring, but like a wrestling boxing ring. And it was like it was a photo shoot or something, so she was looking all hot and stuff like that. Like she was holding on to, like, the ropes there, and I thought it was a cool pose. And then I had my buddy Jesse. He did all the covers except for the last issue of the coloring. I had him do the coloring. And then I'm trying to remember how we did this background. I think this was kind of a photo that I had found, because I kind of wanted her jumping through the city. Like, I found this on, like, Google Images or whatever. And I think he did something to it. I don't think he just put the image on top of it. He might have done something with the lights. I don't really know. But I think it's a cool... I like the cover. I really like it a lot. And as you can see, she's kind of... She's in an outfit that will become her main look going forward. So, if you haven't watched any of these videos, I always kind of started off in this first page. After the first few issues, I kind of adopted this style, which I do to this day. And I do, like, Marvel used to do this. I don't know if DC did, because I don't really read a lot of DC back in the day, but I always kind of give a brief synopsis of who the character was. So, with no memory of her past and gifted with incredible strength and fighting abilities, a young woman fights for survival in a world with strange mystery. She is Bliss. Her name is Bliss. And then previously in Bliss, like previously on X-Men, last time on Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I'll kind of tell you Bliss is someone who is an amnesiac. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't have any memory, but she's like an exceptionally good fighter, and she's stronger than the average person. She can like deadlift, lift like hundreds and hundreds of pounds over her head, like it's nothing, right? And she's been fighting, so like she fought with like a rogue superhero turned like homicidal crazy person. She's been fighting with this cult called the Death Covenant, who's been tracking her down, and she doesn't really know why. So, and then she had to fight this group called the Gladiator Six, this group of 6 gladiator-themed mercenary kind of supervillains. So after escaping a fiery death at the hands of the Gladiator Six, Bliss and her friend Dwayne stormed the stronghold of the Death Covenant. They knew where it was, and she just like fucking fucked people up in the last issue. She fought her way through the legions of Death's Faceless. There are these guys, it's hard to see here, I'll show them later. They're these guys with like bald heads. They're generic kind of clone looking guys, and they got this skull tattoo on the face. If someone has this skull tattoo for the Death Covenant, then that means that they're part of the Covenant, right? So she fought her way through legions of Death's Faceless before being betrayed by Dwayne, her friend, who's revealed to be a brainwashed member of the Covenant. It's him here kind of attacking her. He had the tattoo, which she had never known, but he's not just like an evil person. He's being brainwashed by his people. In captivity, Bliss was confronted by the Dragon Reaper. The Dragon Reaper, one, is the leader of this covenant, but is this kind of like urban legend or something. You know, you don't fuck with the Reaper. The Reaper's going to get you. And like this Dragon Reaper was a assassin of superheroes, you know, like scary motherfucker. But the Dragon Reaper, he himself revealed himself to be this guy called the White Knight, which was someone in a flashback was a superhero, and he was killed by the Dragon Reaper. He was also like a Batman kind of figure, and the crazy superhero that she fought was Red Squire, who was like a Robin person. Go read the books, right? So it was a superhero, the White Knight, who's long thought to be dead. But then he revealed another horrifying secret to her, that Bliss herself was the actual Dragon Reaper. So she had no memory of who she was. She didn't know couldn't remember anything about her. And she knew that there was this like fucking crazy ass, horrible, like, Dragon Reaper who had been killing people in the past. She was that person. And she's like, what the fuck? So that's like something that she has to kind of like figure out. She doesn't have all her memory back yet, but she now knows that. So finally escaping her confines, her captivity, Bliss rushes off to save her friends and face the entire horde of the Covenant before they can finish an evil ritual and acquire ultimate power. So yeah, let's get into the book, and I'll kind of explain other stuff that if you hadn't read the books before. And down here I got my Facebook, Norton Man Art and Comics. Go follow me there. Instagram, Norton Man Art, and then don't worry about Twitter or X, whatever the fuck it is. I don't do anything with that anymore. Then my buddy Jesse Roundy, he did the colors. He's got his Facebook and Instagram there. And then always, special thanks to my wife, Lori Robinson, for her continued support, love, and encouragement. So, I always start every issue with a splash page on the opening. And it says, I have a quote here, which I had with every other issue, a quote that has the word Bliss in it in some manner. And it kind of is supposed to relate to what's going on in the story. So it says, acceptance of pain, courage, and endurance. These open deep and perennial sources of real happiness, true bliss. So here you have Bliss in this kind of like hot ass outfit when she was the Dragon Reaper. This is a flashback. I should have put, which I don't do. Yeah, I should have. And maybe I'll do that in a collected edition if I ever put these together. Indicate some way with like a black border that this is a flashback. But here she is, and she's talking to someone like over an intercom like an earpiece or something in her helmet or whatever. She says, "Father, I've successfully infiltrated the mansion." So she's talking to her father figure. Who knows? I mean, I know. So she's in a mansion. She's sneaking around. She's got the sword that she's had. She's in this hot ass outfit with this crazy fucking helmet. There's a close up on the helmet. You've seen this helmet a million times in the previous issues, from the White Knight who's taken up the mantle of the Dragon Reaper, who you thought was the Dragon Reaper the whole time, but it's been Bliss. So yeah, someone's talking to her, says, "Excellent, my daughter," and she's like, "It looks abandoned though," and they're telling her it may seem that way, But the Dragon Lord will not be far from what we seek. The Dragon Lord I've mentioned in this book several times, kind of this weird mythological figure, this dragon, half man, half dragon kind of looking person. You haven't fully seen what he looks like or heard what's going on, but he had something to do with her and what's going on with her memory loss. So he says, search the grounds and locate the artifact, but do not engage the Dragon Lord. If you encounter him, you are not yet ready for such a confrontation. She says, I understand. So she's called the Dragon Reaper. I haven't really explained it in any of these books, but I'll explain it here. She's called the Dragon Reaper because she's going to be the Reaper of the Dragon and his, and whatever force for good that he fights for. You know, he's the Dragon Lord, he's a dragon. She's the Reaper of the Dragon Reaper, right? So here she goes running through the mansion. I tried my best with some of these backgrounds, but this was several years ago. And, you know, they could be better, but I'm an amateur who doesn't get paid. And she goes down to this door and cracks it open. There's these windows. There's lightning in the background. And there's this book. It's called The Dragonstrike Chronicles. And there's these symbols. It's upside down. It's opposite of what I have. But I've shown these symbols. Like, I have these symbols as a tattoo. My brother Rob had designed these for a different storyline that he was doing that I was kind of helping him with when we were kids. And that storyline kind of never came to fruition. It's so epic in its thoroughness, or it's such a big storyline, like it's kind of hard to just jump into it. So we don't know if we'll ever do something with that, but I wanted to kind of keep these symbols, and even this sword I took from a design that he had made in that storyline, which is a design that he had swiped from a Wildcats storyline. So we're all swiping, right? So, but these symbols have also been on this sword that you've seen in present day, and also on the guy that she's been talking with, Kyle. He also has these tattooed on him, these symbols. So, you know, it's all kind of connecting. And it's like, well done. She found the book. Just do not open it, like whoever, her father who's talking to her, under no circumstances. But I kind of try to make it seem like it's cutting out on her, you know, under no and she's like, she can't hear him. She's like, communications are out, must be the storm outside. She's like, I wonder why he doesn't want me to open this book. So she takes off her helmet, so she has this kind of cool, shorter haircut. And she's like, one little peek won't hurt. But, you know, she was told not to open the book. So, I put a lot of detail into some of these words. I remember on my brother Rob's channel, he was wondering if these words said anything. I honestly don't remember. I think I had some kind of just random story or something. They don't really mean anything, but I probably said, like, today I went for a walk, and I like scribbled a bunch. I wanted to look, you know, legibly enough, like it looked like there was writing in there, but nothing that you could actually read, because it is just nonsense. Or it's like a sex fantasy of mine, one or the other. Could be either. So she's flipping through it, and then she sees something. She says, the Book of Bliss. And at the time, she's not called Bliss. This is however many years ago. We're not establishing it at this point. And then she reads an excerpt from it. And she says, and there will come a day when the Dragon Reaper will look upon the face of evil, and then she stops. Because she's the Dragon Reaper. The Dragon Reaper will look upon the face of evil, and then, like, whatever she continues reading, it, like, shocks her to read. She's like, oh my God. Like, she just read something about herself. What is it? Only I can say at this point, and I'm not even 100% sure yet. So then this is a flashback, and it's going to jump to present time. So it says, there's a little dialogue box that says, kill that girl. That's happening in real time, in present day, of what's happening. And I try to do a big, epic, double page spread here for this final issue. When last we left, here's the Dragon Reaper as he is now, who's this guy, the White Knight. He commands this Death's Covenant, which includes this guy. This is the Red Squire. He's kind of a Robin knockoff, but he's older and battle-torn and not in good spirits. Here's her friend Dwayne, who had betrayed her because he's brainwashed. He has the little skull tattoo right there. Here is hot-ass Angelica as her friend. And throughout the whole run, when the Covenant was after her, you find out that they were actually wanted her for whatever reasons. And now she's emanating some weird power. And the last issue with this artifact right here, this weird skull artifact, one, Bliss had a key to it that they got from her. They inserted it into there. And I think this line should be the other way if I was keeping continuity. Because they turned the key. And the skull, and Rusty's around, if you heard that meow. The skull, like, took in her essence, like this weird energy came pouring out of her eyes and mouth and went into the skull. So now the skull is powered by whatever energy this woman Angelica has. They were calling her the Angel. Is she an angel? That's up for me to know, and I'm not going to tell right now. Then you got the Gladiator 6 down here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They fought her. They kind of whooped her ass a little bit. She put on a good fight. But there was 6, and she eventually got overwhelmed. And then you see, like, Death's Faceless back here. Color would probably make this look a little bit better with, like, the backgrounds of this, like, weird church / castle / fortress they're in with the fire in the background and everything. Maybe the power emanating from her. But I really like this. You could probably take each one of these pages and have them as separate images, right? Doing all the detail in these, I was really actually proud of myself. I'm going to pat myself on the back and suck my own dick. Going for a Doctor Doom type vibe with this guy holding the cape right there. I can't remember. I might have referenced some of this, but not all of it. I obviously didn't find a picture of someone just leaping through the air like that, so I might have cobbled together some different references, plus trying to do it out of my mind on its own. These are out of my mind. This was all out of my mind. This I probably referenced. That looks too good for me to do it out of my head. Thinking she's looking kind of sexy there in that outfit that she wasn't wearing initially, but now she is, just because, that's what happens in these kind of situations. So, Bliss is coming at this guy, the Dragon Reaper / White Knight. We're going to call him the Dragon Reaper. And she swipes at him. And this is the first... Oh, yeah. She didn't have the sword the entire time, but then she was able to finally get it. So now she has kind of an equalizer with her. Slashes at him, and he blocks it with, like, this arm gauntlet. And this guy's a warrior. He ain't no pushover. He, like, punches her across the face, punches her again, hits her again, has her by the throat. And he's like, you can't defeat us. We are righteous. We are a legion. We are Death's Covenant. But she ain't taking this shit. She fucking headbutts him. No fucking background here because I'm lazy. No background there. Kind of put some here. Headbutts him. Slashes at him. Slashes at him again across the midsection. Gives him some, like, He-Man battle damage. Kicks him there so his helmet comes flying off somehow. Like, helmets don't stay on very well, do they? Kicks him in the gut there. So now there's this guy. I was trying to emulate a little Jason Statham from him, but it doesn't quite look like him. Doesn't matter. He's like, fucking damn you, girl. You still do not know the powers you are facing. So he picks up the skull and says, now die. So yeah, like the key slot is turned there. And he shoots at her, like this power comes out of it. She ducks out of the way. I mean, she kind of ducks. She dodges. And it hits one of these guys. And whatever is going on inside this, I want to make this thing a little bit of a threat. So it hits him, and it shows this guy, and he just fucking starts burning and melting to a goddamn, like, he had the skull on, now he's just a fucking skull. So, yeah, that's a fucking crazy thing, I thought. So, he has her dead to rights again, pointing the fucking skull. And he says, it's over, girl. You've lost. You have nowhere to hide. No more tricks up your sleeve. Come and feel death's embrace. And I was trying to make a point that they was always referring to her as a girl, but she's a woman. She's a young woman. And I've been told by several women that, like, it's just fucking annoying when you're being called a girl all the time. It's kind of like belittling or whatever to them. So that made sense to me. It's like if someone was calling me a boy all the time. It's like, yeah, we can call guys and girls, but, they're women, young women, whatever. She's a woman. So them always calling her girl kind of starts pissing her off. So she throws the sword, and it hits the skull, goes through the skull and into the Dragon Reaper guy here. And she says here, stop calling me girl, And when this happens, these little these little explosions start to happen. The crack in the skull starts splintering, and then it fucking erupts. I'm kind of happy with that image. It's hard to, an exploding skull. What does it look like? I think it works there. So, kind of the shot from within this like church thing, and this energy ring goes swooshing out and shooting up in the sky here. And I got this kind of idea from the last issue of Danger Girl. My brother Rob just did a review on that issue. And while I was listening to it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that's where I got that idea, because the same kind of thing happened there. The blast in the Danger Girl issue, when that happened like this, it was kind of like harmless to everybody, but this starts fucking things up. It's like an energy wave. It's knocking things over, knocks over some of these like fire pits or whatever, starting fires. The place starts coming down. Now, what I wanted to do, but I found myself lacking in time and page count, because I was trying to keep these to 24 pages, and I didn't have the time, sometimes energy, to put everything that I wanted to, and I may end up putting these in something, in a collected edition. I wanted this energy to hit a bunch of these, like, faceless guys with Bliss dodging it. And if the energy hit them, they would all kind of like melt like this guy does here. So it kind of like takes away a big chunk of the threat. But I didn't. So we're just having to deal with Dwayne here says the whole place is coming down. We've got to get out of here. So the Red Squire here, bad guy, used to be good guy, bad guy. He yells at him, traitor! And he stabs her friend Dwayne right in the back with his fucking sword. And Dwayne here and Bliss were kind of developing a little bit of a romance. They were definitely really good friends, but nothing really had come up. They had like kissed like once. It's like one of her best friends, like one of her only friends. And she sees that, yells at him. No, definitely reference that somewhere, and reference that. She comes flying at him. She says, you son of a bitch! Kicks him right in the face. I'm kind of happy with this bottom panel. I like that boot, the way it's angled. I referenced that from an actual boot that my wife had and just kind of looked at it and turned it to get that angle. But it looks like that heel just clocked into the fucking jaw right there. So, again, after she kicks him there, it goes right to Dwayne and him dying. What I needed to put in there, and again, I think is a page I will put in there when I collect these into a collected edition, is one more page with them them having a confrontation, where she's just like, you motherfucker, how could you do this? You used to be a good person. What's going on? And she kind of is yelling at him for all the fucked up shit he's done. And it's going to kind of make him this guy realize, like, oh, fuck, I used to be, like, a young, idealistic superhero. Now, what have I become, And he'll kind of go running off in shame. I'd have to figure it out, It'd be a little bit more complex than that. And then, she would turn her attention to her dying friend. So, as everyone's running, trying to get out while like this chaos is happening behind them. Bliss is trying to comfort, trying to save him, but she doesn't know what to do. She's no medic, she's no doctor. She's just really, really sad that her friend is dying, and he's telling her, she's like, he's apologizing, like, I tried to fight their brainwash. She's like, I know, don't worry about that. He says, you've got to get Angelica and save yourselves. And she's crying. She's like, I can't leave you. I just can't leave you. And she's crying, and he's kind of holding her. And it's nice to have my wife around to kind of bounce ideas off of her. She's not a writer. She's not a comic book reader, really, or a fan. She likes movies and all that, like the rest of us. But I like to get, since I have a female protagonist, main character's a woman, it's nice to get a woman's point of view on some of these lines that she should be saying or what she should be doing. In the last issue, like her, or in a couple issues, Bliss was working out with her friend. I needed somewhere for them to have a conversation. I'm like, do they go try on clothes? Do they go get a cup of coffee? And I'm like, what do you think, wife / girlfriend at the time? And she's like, have them go work out. Like they're going to work out. Then you can kind of show like how strong she is. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So this was another thing. I was gonna have her say, I can't do this without you, but I didn't want that to seem like she's like needs a man to like help her. I'm like, what would you say in this situation? What would be a good say? She says like, she's like, yeah, she can do this without him, but she doesn't want to do it without him. So say, I don't want to do this without you. That's still showing that she's like really sad and she's gonna miss him, and like it's hard to do certain things, but she's still a capable person. So just saying the word want instead of need, and I think it fits the character better and made it a better moment. And he's kind of telling her, you're strong, you're special, you're going to do great things. And before he dies, you see his hand bleeding and it kind of goes lifeless. And she's like, remember that I have always, before he can say whatever, I've always loved you, whatever, he dies. And she's like, cries out. And she just holds him close as he dies in her arms, as like the debris is coming down around them. So this guy who's been in since the very first issue, he helped her, friends, kind of romance. He's just dead now. So we go back to the Dragon Reaper guy who's still reeling from like being fucking stabbed. And this foot comes down. And there's Bliss, and he's like, damn you. And he's like, once again, you stand over me as I lay dying. So in the second issue, you saw in a flashback, when he was the White Knight, when he was a superhero, he was murdered by the Dragon Reaper. And now now you know that it was her who did that. So he says, you stand over me as I lay, once again, you stand over me as I lay dying. I'm sure it gives you some perverse pleasure. And there's a shot of her face, and it's all in shadows because you don't know what she's feeling. She's kind of filled with rage from just losing her friend. She has like a crazy, fucked up past. What kind of person is she now that she knows that? He's like, it doesn't matter. Death is coming for you. And I've used the word death a lot, and it can mean different things. But they've talked about another master, another lord that is kind of running this whole like evil empire kind of thing. And they keep talking about it as death is coming for you, our Lord Death, all that kind of stuff. It's called the Death's Covenant. So, our Lord will once bring me back from the brink of death, and you will know our wrath. So it kind of says that, he was killed, but he was brought back. So he's like, I'll be back again, and, I'm going to get revenge on you again. So the sword sticking out of him, she pulls it from him, and rather violently, and brings it down, chops his fucking head right off. She says, let's see him bring you back from that, as she walks off. Now I remember, it's funny, like how you're influenced by certain things and certain movies or whatever in your life, and you don't even know. My brother Rob, I remember when he was asking me, he was read this issue, and he asked, like, what's this from? And I'm like, fuck, I don't know what that's from. I feel it's like from something. And then it was later that I realized what I got it from. And this was a scene from Bram Stoker's Dracula, Gary Oldman at the very end with Winona Ryder. And it's like at the very end when he's sitting there dying, and he has like these huge knives and whatever in him as he's laying dying in like the church steps, right? And she kind of kisses him, and she does the final blow. I think she pushes the thing into him more, and then pulls it out and chops his head off, right? That's what happened in the movie. That's where I got this from, and I didn't even know it until I realized later. It's kind of crazy. So the main bad guy's dead. Doesn't have it, he's headless now. And so she cuts the binds from her friend Angelica, who was strung up somehow. She's like, okay, it's up to you. Bliss is kind of like, I don't know how to get us out of here. She's surrounded by fire and falling debris. She's like, seriously, babe, everyone keeps saying how powerful you are, and I could really use an angelic miracle right about now. She's trying to, she's alive and breathing, but she's kind of unconscious. She's like, Angelica, like, help me. She opens her eyes here, and they're like blank, like white, glowing, I guess you could say. And she just says home. And this like circle, this bubble envelops them in a flash. And she's like, what the fuck? Now I tried to like limit how much swearing I did in these issues, because I want to make it a PG-13 book, or a T for teen, so keep the swear words to a minimum. It's like a PG-13 movie can have one fuck in it. Which I had already spent on accident in the third issue. I like wrote it in, and then later I'm like, oh fuck, I put the word fuck in there. But she says, what the fuck? And then this kind of cool, I think it's cool, this scene of the castle/church burning and everyone running out of it. You see the Gladiator 6 there, all, running for their lives, with a bunch of the faceless still who are alive. So Bliss fucked up some shit. And there's kind of a, hopefully it stays within the timeline. Like when Bliss first started and showed up here, it was daytime, now it's nighttime. So there's this sense of time that has passed, hopefully. So then the bubble kind of like disappears around her, deforms, and she's somewhere else. And when she says, what the fuck, she continues uck. So in the middle of a fuck, she got transported to this other place. And, where is it? And she's like, this isn't the apartment we live at. Like, what is this place? And she just hears this voice. And it says, it is a safe house, a place where you lived years ago. If you can see the word balloons, I kind of have like a triple line around it. So, and you can see it there. So when Angelica is using her powers, it's kind of, you can tell from the font there, or the word bubble, that she's kind of not in her human form or natural voice or whatever. So she hears the voice, like, Angelica, where are you? And it says, I'm here, sweetie. And this like little fluttering ball comes down, and it's emanating this light. Now I got this little idea from Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Who is that? I forget, that little annoying thing in that game. It's like, listen! Who was always like around you and giving you like advice in the game. It was this little fairy there, so I kind of try to mimic that. So, she's like, I'm here, but I cannot stay long. I'm going to replenish my power before I can appear in human form again. She's like, what are you? A being from a time long past that has since been forgotten into legend. She's like, I don't understand. So she goes on. I don't know if you can see it on this camera, and the print job didn't come out, but you can kind of see a figure inside this bubble. And she's like, no, it's hard to believe, but once you have learned the truth of this world, you'll begin to understand in time. So there's like more to this world that Bliss is learning from almost each issue. She's like, but you can't leave me now. There's still so much I don't remember. Like, what happened to me? Why did I choose not to be the Reaper anymore? And Angelica tells her, to tell you that now would undo the very reason for the change. So if I told you why you went from the Reaper to being who you are, that would fuck everything up. So I cannot tell you. but your choice to stray from executioner and become a protector was made by you and you alone. No one forced her to do it when she's not brainwashed now. But then she starts asking all these questions. Why did I awaken alone in the diner? Who really controls the covenant? Like all the questions that we have. And she says, I'm sorry, but my time has faded. We will meet again. Basically, all the questions that we have, we don't get an answer to. That was kind of intentionally done on my part. Also kind of intentionally because I wanted to refine what I wanted. Like I have the basic idea of some of these answers, but I didn't know the concrete answer, especially at the time. So it kind of kept it vague to figure out later, which I have a better idea now. So she says, we will meet again. World still needs protectors. Embrace your new role. There are conversations that Angelica and Bliss had where Angelica was trying to tell her, like, you should be a superhero. You could do a lot of good. You could help a lot of people. So she says, embrace your new role. And as she disappears into a ball of light, she says, remember to cut loose. So she's kind of like keeping her hands up from like the bright flash, and she disappears. Kind of, there's like a gust of wind kind of blew her hair a little bit. And she says, cut loose. So she takes a minute to like look at her surroundings in her apartment. You know, it's just a typical kind of, I don't know, top floor, big luxury kind of apartment. There's a bed, there's a kitchen there, little living room place, not luxury, I don't know. It's big, but it's not like a little shithole, you know, but not terribly big. But there's some stuff on this page that I really am proud of in little different ways. So I'm going to pat myself on the back and suck my own dick. So she picks up this book. It's called Bliss, a collection of poems and quotes. So, like I said before, with every issue I had a quote that had the word bliss in it. So that's kind of like, this is kind of showing where or why these thoughts have been in her head or why we're reading them. Whether she bought this or put this together on her own or wrote these, I don't know. But is that what, influenced her to take the name Bliss? I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. But she picks it up and she reads one more quote, which I think I'm a fucking genius for. It says, follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there were only walls, right? So keep that in your mind for a second. So she goes to the jukebox. She takes a look at it and she's looking at some of the songs. And they're all songs from the 80s. Like, she's an 80s girl. All the references and stuff I've done, these movies and everything are from the 80s. Except the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is early 90s. But it doesn't fucking matter. But, like, there's the Michael Jackson song, Beat It. I had in issue number 3. The Def Leppard song, Pour Some Sugar on Me, in issue number 2. It says Living on a Prayer. I think it's Living on a Prayer here. Did I do anything with Bon Jovi? No, I didn't. I don't know why I put that one in there. But the song that she's looking at, that we're focusing on, is Motley Crue, Home Sweet Home. And she presses the button and the music notes show up and music starts playing. I kind of like that hand with the line work there. Anyways. So, as you know, if you watch these videos, oh my God, wind blew a door shut. Each issue, I've had some kind of form of music in here through putting lyrics in the book. So if you know the song and you're reading along the lyrics, you'll hear the song in your head, and it'll kind of play as the scene goes by. And I'm gonna sing the song. Sorry, Robert, but has to be done. So she presses the button, the music starts playing. And then she goes and she has this shelf full of old VHS tapes, right? And she says, cut loose. That's what she was told. And in the first issue, one of the songs that she had was a Footloose song. And she was also, in the first issue as well, stated that her favorite movie was Footloose. So she goes to these VHS tapes, and I'm very happy. I took the time, I Googled each one, like the spine of what these old VHS tapes look like. And I took the time because I was doing these all by hand, pen and ink, pencil on paper. And I did my best. So what do we got here? We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We got Footloose. We got Big Trouble in Little China. We got the Transformers movie. We got Muppets in Manhattan. Let's see. This one is Patrick Swayze. That must be Roadhouse. Star Trek. And even over here, you got Willow. You got Predator. I can't even remember. Aliens. I think I got Clue over here. You got the Star Trek. That's like the box set. And when you put them all together, it shows like the Enterprise. I can't even remember some of these other ones. Oh, these are Star Wars, the original trilogy. That's a little, if you people can see it. Sorry. That's the little logo of Yoda. That was a stormtrooper, and there was Darth Vader. That was the original Star Wars. I don't know what that is. I can't remember what that is. Oh, that's Superman right there. So what is this one? I'd have to look at it really close. I'm going to press pause and look at it closer. Still can't tell. Anyways, these were all movies that I had referenced throughout the comic, or like I paid homage to or something. Or, I mean, I probably did some of these in some way, or they're probably just some of my favorite movies that come out of that decade, right? So, as opposed to like an old time like bookcase or something where people like would pull out a book and open up a secret wall, she does it with these VHS tapes. So she pulls out the Footloose one, and this door opens in this wall. Go back to this quote up here: "Follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there were only walls." God damn, am I fucking genius. Am I not a genius, Rusty? Huh? Rusty's here, everyone. Hey, buddy. So she goes in there, and there's like kind of this secret bat cave kind of a deal. Or a bliss cave, you might call it. Kind of this technological desk with these computer screens. I wish I could do this better. Like a Jim Lee style, just technological shit everywhere. I faked it and I did my best. This is supposed to be like a table with like a screen on the table, a la Aliens. Maybe that's where I referenced Aliens, right there, when they were looking at the schematics in that movie. Something kind of similar. Then there's this door back here with this handprint, and the music's going. So it's like, you know I'm a dreamer, but my heart's of gold. I had to run away high, so I wouldn't come home low. Just when things went right, doesn't mean they were always wrong. So she puts her hand, like she had her hands taped up here, so she untaped it, puts her hand there. Just take this song, and you'll never feel left all alone. And the door opens, right? Take me to your heart, feel me in your bones, just one more night, and I'm coming off this long and winding road. And there's kind of like this mannequin wearing this old outfit that she had when she was the Dragon Reaper. I'm on my way, home sweet home. So she found this old outfit. So it cuts to a scene, and I put these kind of dark borders on here so you know that it's kind of like a spooky time. And it's not a flashback or anything, it's in real time. And it's the church or the fortress that's all broken and burnt down, and there's this guy here, right? All in dark. You don't see his face. And he's walking through. And what I was trying to do here, I probably could have done better, is this smoke is following him, or smoke is appearing as he takes steps. You know that I've seen too many romantic dreams up in lights falling off the silver screen. And he comes open to the White Knight / Dragon Reaper's severed head. So some time has gone. I try to show that it was rotting a little bit. I think there's flies kind of around. His tongue is hanging out. And there's the helmet he was wearing. My heart's like an open book. And then you get the real first shot of his face, but you don't get a full one. It's the dark, soulless eyes, this kind of skull on his face. For the whole world to read. So this creepy fucker, this guy, this death, this lord of the covenant, he this is the guy who brought this white knight back from the death at first. And instead, I mean, how is he going to bring this guy back? But he doesn't. He crushes the helmet with his foot, stomps on it. Just like Galvatron did to Starscream's helmet in the Transformer animated movie. Sometimes nothing keeps me together at the seams. Cool, huh? I think so. So then we cut to another scene. It's the Wolf Bar. And I've talked about how I've used this name Wolf from an old boss/friend now, whose last name was Wolf with 2 O's. And I put like Wolf's Diner, the Wolf's Lair for like this place that they worked at. Now it's the Wolf Bar. And I have now since decided that the city that they're in is a fictional city that I'm calling Wolf City, right? And so you go inside this bar, and this was totally Moe's Tavern. I actually kind of looked in some of the Simpsons episodes and tried to make it as accurate as possible. And there's a bartender, there's a guy sitting there and like a TV playing the news. And it says, in other news, suspected vigilante Kyle Sills was released earlier this week. Defense attorneys state that, and then the guy says, hey, can you turn that off? I'm sick of listening to superhero stuff. So Kyle Sills was this vigilante, this good guy who was fighting Death's Covenant, but he was arrested, and Bliss had spoken with him in jail. And they kind of were being a little flirty. He was being flirty with her. But now he's released, it says. Oh, yeah. There's the jar of pickled eggs from The Simpsons from Moe's Bar. So you see the song still going. You kind of transition the song over here. It says, I'm on my way home, sweet home. So this is the Red Squire without his mask. He's at this bar, and he's kind of lamenting or sad or shameful of what he's done. So he's kind of drinking himself into a stupor. He's looking at his mask here. And this guy pulls up a stool right next to him. He's like, hey, Mo, it's Mo, give me a shot of Jack for the road, and one for my sad-looking friend right here. This is Kyle Sills. He doesn't know that, though. And this guy's like, thanks a lot, but who are you? He's like, and he takes a shot. He's like, just a loser, same as you. And then he's like, let me guess, girl trouble? And he's like, you don't know the half of it. Basically talking about Bliss, but not in the same manner. Tell you the truth, I'm not even sure it's her fault. And Kyle in shadows here, he's like, it rarely is, bro. And he kind of just talks about shit. He's like, I discovered my mentor, my father figure, has been lying to me. And I blamed this woman for so long for everything that's gone wrong in my life. But now I'm thinking that I would have ended up this way regardless. And Kyle, he turns his hat backwards. He's like, I hear that shit. Like, kind of just agreeing with him. He says, maybe it's time I stop blaming others for my mistakes, take responsibility for my life. I need to remember who I was and the man I want to be. But is it too late? That's part of what I was talking back here. I wanted her to kind of like, after she kicks him in the face, yell at him and kind of make him realize some of the shit. So it's not just such a 180. I think it'll make more sense in a collected edition when I add some of these pages. So he takes his shot. It's like, can I make up for my mistakes as she did? You know? Can I atone for my sins? And Kyle, off panel, says, who knows? But to answer your first question, can I make up for my mistake? No, is it too late? This is the first question. And Kyle says, it is too late. He pulls out a gun. And he realizes who Kyle is, and he calls him the Guardian. What does that mean? And Kyle, here, with a smile on his face, he says, Dragon Lord says hi, by the way. And he fucking shoots him in that fucking head right there. So this villain that's been kind of plaguing Bliss is now dead by the hands of this kind of bit character, this side character who's kind of a major deal. He's kind of a big deal. I try to do this kind of cool artsy thing in the background here with like these weird silhouettes. I was just too fucking lazy to put in more backgrounds. That's the reason for that. And then he says, sorry about the mess, Mo. That's a Han Solo Star Wars reference. And Robert, on his channel, when he reviewed this comic, and he had since told me this, pointed this out. This angle doesn't make sense. It's like he's like lifted, he's higher up. Maybe he's up on some stairs. I'm going to put like the reasoning that he thought it might also be is like maybe they're two separate images and just kind of spliced together. Yeah, whatever. But he leaves and you see the dead body. He says, sorry about the mess, Mo. See you next time. As the music, and he puts on his sunglasses because he's a fucking cool ass motherfucker. And the music continues. Tonight, tonight, I'm on my way. Just set me free. Home, sweet home. And then it cuts to a scene of the city that Rusty wants to get in the way of. And these guys are arguing. It's like, what are we now? We're common criminals? And the leader here, he's talking with the Gladiator 6. There's 5 of them here at least. And they're kind of pissed off at what's going on with them. He's like, it's only temporary. Our bankroll is no longer available. Basically, they were getting paid by the Covenant or whoever. Now they're all fucking dead. So how are they going to make money? And this girl's like, because of that bitch, we should have killed her when we had the chance. They had the chance. They had the opportunity to kill her, but they had to bring her in alive. And this guy's like, regardless, we just need to do a few bank jobs to fund our operations again. Like, we need to go rob some banks like common criminals. And like, as soon as Aatrox, I kind of was giving them names. They all had names with an A. There's Aatrox, there's Aspera, there's Atilically. I can't remember this guy's name, honestly. I give names to these 3 also, but I'd since forgotten because it didn't matter. But as soon as Aatrox returned, here's Aatrox. He comes landing down, like hurt, unconscious, dead. I don't know. And they're like, Aatrox! He says, who dares? And like this girl and him, they're either brother and sister or man or husband and wife. I haven't decided, but it doesn't matter because is this guy dead? I don't know. And they look up, and there's a silhouette. And in the moonlight on the roof up above them, it says, hey guys, I've been looking for you for a long time. And they yell at her to show yourself. And it's Bliss. She says, are you ready for round 2? So she's, however much time has passed, it hasn't shown. I haven't, it doesn't really matter. But these guys fucked her up. They ended up, because of them, they captured Angelica. That's how Dwayne was killed. She's had a grudge with these guys. They ambushed her, killed a bunch of people, so she wanted to get even. Like, she needed to bring these guys in. But now she's ready, she's focused, she's trained, she has her weapon. She, by herself, is ready to take on all 6 of these fuckers. And there's the final shot of her jumping at them, swinging her sword. It says, I'm on my way. I'm on my way, home, sweet home. And then one final one, just set me free, home, sweet home. The end. All the others were to be continued. This is the end as she is jumping at these guys. You can see she's in a different outfit. It's kind of a culmination of a bunch of things that she's been wearing. She was wearing this kind of like a fishnet shirt with a shirt under it. I got that from, I used to watch wrestling, the WWE, WWF at the time with the wrestler Lita. She wore this kind of shit. She has this headband on. That's something from Rogue from the X-Men that I always liked. She's wearing, like her hands are taped up. She's wearing these gloves, wearing a black jacket. And she's wearing this has this design on it, which you can kind of is similar to what she was wearing earlier. And these are men. If this was colored, that's open holes or something. So you would see her flesh, like her skin tone there. It's not just a white paint job on it. It's kind of open. I think I saw a design that Black Widow had in the 90s. I think Joe Mad, of all people, designed like some stuff for the Avengers. I saw in a ad, and that Black Widow had kind of a spider design like that I always thought was kind of like really sexy, so I adopted that from there. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, these designs are open so you can see your skin tone. Wearing some boots, black leather, kind of like Catwoman. She's a combination of a bunch of different, I don't know, ideas. So Bliss has kind of come full circle. She still doesn't have her memory, but she is still a superhero. She's basically what that is. Superheroes don't really exist. They exist in the world, but they've kind of gone away. We've talked about they're not really around. Going forward, superheroes are going to be much more prevalent, and it's kind of she is bringing them back just with her being there and her actions. That's kind of what I'm going for. I'm happy with this hair. I must have referenced that from something, especially being in the moonlight there. I think that looks really good. Typical city scenes, that could be better. I tried. This is an adequate pinup by Rob. He could do better. Just kidding. No, this is really, really good. I really like this. He's been a big fan. He's been a big supporter of mine. He's the first one who, I think my wife is actually the first one who I'll have read these digitally before I get them to print. But the first one who gets a copy is Rob, and he's usually the one who's giving me advice, giving me thoughts, and he's always been a big supporter since I was a kid, man. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be drawing. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing a lot of stuff, including these kind of videos. So Rob, like, I'll always be appreciative of you. And he drew this just because he wanted to. I didn't ask him to do this. He did this on his own. I think he wanted to put the Gladiator 6 back there, but there was a lot of drawing, and he just, a lot of detail that he didn't have time for. Nailed this figure. His face looks really hot and sexy and good. The metal here, the texture has Eric Larson Overlord vibes, which is an idea, like, I'm totally, like, he nailed it from what I was going for. There's Kyle with a funny smirk on his face, hot ass Angelica and her friend Dwayne, and then Red Squire. So there it is. There's my comics, all the first 5 issues, and I'm going to take a break until I show the other ones, but I will, and then I'll be showcasing those. So if anybody's interested in reading these or owning these, please hit me up. I'd love to get you a copy. I don't really charge too much for them. There's shipping and handling fees if I have to ship them, but yeah. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the book. Yeah, let me know what you think. And as always, I will see you in the next video.